Before we get started with another episode here on Fast Break on IE Sports Radio, the first show of 2022, I want to introduce y'all to a couple of our sponsors. The Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players playing in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Wherever you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get a second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. You can find them on social media on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, on Instagram, Southern California _Warriors, and on Facebook, Southern California Warriors. Background Check International. Are you looking to background check a new hire on? Let Kit Freeman take care of that for you. Kit founded and has managed Background Check International since 1994. And he's here to help you with the screening process. Contact Kit and let him make the hiring process that much easier. This business is used for professional background checks and not for the use of any crimes such as identity theft or any other illegal activity. You can find him on social media at Background Check International, BCI, or also on the website, bcint.com. Now on to the show. With the news of Becky Hammon going to the Wnba, we did debate if it's a good move for her, or maybe she could have stuck it out and got an NBA job. Plus, the Chicago Bulls on a run right now. Can they maintain hold in the East? And also, can DeMar DeRozan be MVP candidate? Also, the Houston Rockets. Are they in more trouble than what their record are? We'll discuss that and much more here on Fast Break, live on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all sports, and you're welcome to join us. And join us as you shout tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of things to get into, lots of things to talk about. We're gone for a week. Christmas holiday, all that good stuff. But we're back in the fold, back in the new year. So, we're going to hit the ground running in 2022. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well, man. Everything is pretty solid. Rough sports day for me. My Magic is playing Boston right now. I think we're behind the Jets and Bucks. My Bucks had me real nervous all the way through this game, especially with all-pro, former all-pro receiver AB acting a fool. But all in all, everything is good, man. What about you?
Everything's going great. Everything's going great. You know, wish the Lakers are playing a little bit better, but the Titans, hey, they got back the number one seed in the whole AFC. So I'm happy about that. We'll see how things go. We'll see if Derrick Henry plays this week. I doubt it, but we'll see. And after that, things are kosher right now. But we want to lead off tonight, ladies and gentlemen, with one Becky Hammon. Miss Hammond has been a long-time assistant coach with the Spurs here for the past few years. And this recently, the past couple years, her name's kind of gained traction of potentially getting a head coaching job in the NBA. The first female to ever do that. Now we've gotten reports, and I think everything's confirmed. She will be the new head coach of the Las Vegas Aces of the WNBA. Don't know what the terms of the deal, but it seems to me it's going to be like a lucrative deal. Her going to the Las Vegas Aces. So with that in mind, D-Lock, is it a good move for Becky to go to WNBA to get that first head coaching job, or do you think she could have waited out and got an NBA gig in the next coaching cycle?
To be honest with you, I think this was a good move for her, but I don't think this is the last move. I think this is just a league that she can have an opportunity in the NBA, and she would do a hell of a job. But this is kind of one of those things where, to get your foot in the door, there are opportunities that only makes your resume look a lot better. So when you come and say, "Hey, all right, I've done this," they don't have as many reasons or one short reason to say, "Well, you can't take this job." So, going to be the coach at the Aces, I feel like we're going to see greatness with her being there. But now, like I said, you can't say that she hasn't led a franchise now. So she's going to get that experience, and that's one of the things that a lot of franchises in any sport, say, "Well, you haven't led a group of athletes, professionals." So now that has been, or that is official, and she's going to do that. I think it's going to be a hell of a lot easier for her to get a job in the NBA. I think she's ready now, but I mean, if it takes for her to add on to that resume, well, hey, listen, I was a WNBA head coach. Now teams have no reason to not hire her.
I look at it this way, D-Lock. And I know we talked about this in the past with the last coaching cycle. Guys like, no shade to them, but like guys like Rick Carlisle, Jason Kidd, for example, they get another head coaching job. In terms of Rick Carlisle, we've seen what he did with the Pacers before in the past. And, my thinking is, we've seen what he can do. We've seen this chapter before. It's kind of like your Orlando Magic. When they went back and hired Brian Hill back in the 2000s. Brought him back into the fold. We've seen that story before. Jason Kidd. We've seen what he has done in the NBA. Real up and down. And we've kind of seen, and we discussed that athletic report by the time Milwaukee. And, Giannis's book. And weren't really the best of times up there. Early in Giannis's career. So, for me, like you mentioned, it's good for the resume. You go into a good squad. You get to coach one of the best female players in the world in Liz Cambridge when she's healthy. You got Chelsea Gray in the fold, De'Arca Hambry as well, and plus with Asia Wilson as well. So you got those ladies in the fold coming in. I just kind of hate for her that she had to go this route to get a head coaching job. Our Texas and Oklahoma show. When I listened to that show last night, D-Lock, they talked about Chauncey Billups, getting a job ahead of her. Chauncey didn't have that much experience. They kind of, base it off, Chauncey playing experience in the NBA, which I kind of disagree there in a sense that at least Chauncey took his assistant job before he, got the head coaching job in Portland. I discussed this. Me and my dad discussed this multiple times over the years about Chauncey Billups. Why is he not coaching anywhere? Assistant, head coach, whatever. Sometimes you can look at players and see in basketball and kind of like, ooh, you should be you might be a coach down the line. And look where Chauncey's at. I just felt like if she kind of hung out one more year, I think it could have been her year. I think she was probably close to getting to that Portland job. It didn't happen. Like you mentioned, your Orlando Magic may be in the search for a new head coach. Maybe I'm looking around the league, who may be up for a new job. Maybe Detroit. I know they've been playing a little bit better, but Dwayne Casey, they may be looking for a new voice there. That could have been a good fit for her. The Pelicans, I know they like hired Willie Green. I know it's kind of big on that D-Lock, but it's like, even without Zion, I kind of question some of the coaching that Willie has done with that team. I'll be really real with you. Some of his rotations, playing time he had given to some players, it's been real questionable in my eyes. And also, throw in Sacramento. They got rid of Luke Walton. I hate to put her in that mess, but that would probably be a good spot for her, in my eyes. So I look at those situations. She could have got a job there. Maybe Minnesota as well. That's another possible place. But I think she could have hung out one more year, the rest of this year, and got a head coaching job. My humble opinion.
I think so too. The biggest thing is, again, we don't know how they do their picking and choosing, as far as coaching. And I totally agree with you on that aspect of like I said, I think she can run, a franchise. But, one thing we see in all sports, most sports, is a lot of these, it's about winning right now for most franchises. NBA, NFL. To be honest with you, the only thing that really is not necessarily winning right now is college. And I probably would say college football specifically. Just because they know the recruiting aspect, they understand, you give somebody a couple of years, but they in like an SEC conference and they ain't getting past, Bama, they might fire their coaches quick. We've seen it at Florida. We've seen it at, a couple other universities. But right now, in most professional sports, in most sports, it's about winning right now. So, for me, they're possibly looking at her like, okay, well, yes, she possibly can coach, but can we win right now with her? And that's what a lot of them think. I'd probably say the only team that is probably, only few team that's not in win right now mode, we're probably talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Orlando Magic.
Yeah.
If we would have asked this question last year, I would have said the Washington Wizards, but I don't know. They look pretty decent right now. Who am I missing? Can I say Cleveland?
Yeah.
Can I put Cleveland in that category?
The Houston Rockets.
So, the Houston Rockets. So it's a few teams that is not necessarily in the win right now mode. They're kind of building. Hell, Sacramento, I feel like has a hell of a pieces. I think that would have been a perfect spot for her, to be honest with you. Just to get the chance, because they had a lot of pieces over there. Tyrese Halliburton has been showing what kind of player he can be with De'Aaron Fox being out for so long and all the COVID protocols, all these players being out. Buddy Hield kind of showed up a lot, the past couple of weeks as well. So that roster is somewhat pretty solid, so that would have been a good spot. But again, me personally, I'm thinking that these guys are or these franchises, you know, they go in there and they have their who they want and who they don't want. What can make a difference is what's on the resume. So let's say she goes to Las Vegas and she wins a lot of games and make a big difference. There's a possibility that I think we see her in the NBA next year, maybe in 2 years. But you know, like I said, I definitely agree with you the fact that going this route, I can tell you this right now, most coaches did not have to do that. Most coaches did not have to go this specific route. So, but I believe that she's going to make the best of this opportunity. And another thing, too, it'll be hard to be winning in Vegas and all of a sudden leave for a different opportunity. You know, just because, I mean, you know how it is in coaching. Like, you start to be comfortable with the guy that you have in your group, and the next day, or your athletes, and then next thing you know, now to get up and leave will be very tough.
You know, going to the chat real quick. Mr. Rodriguez, Terrence Rodriguez said, you know, Becky was a home run hire, especially since she learned a lot from Pop. I mean, yeah, that's true, Terrence, but I think you probably agree with this, Terrence, that she could have got an NBA job. If all these other Popovich assistants can get jobs, I know she could have been in line for the job. So, I think my thing for her, D-Log, like you mentioned, go there for a couple years, got a nice squad, go in there and dominate, win at least a championship there. And one thing she got not to do is not kind of like linger there for a while. And some of y'all probably hearing that and saying, what do you mean by that? Certain coaches in the WNBA have, were very successful, but kind of got stuck there. If you look at it, Michael Cooper, for example, had a good run with the LA Sparks. You know, I felt like maybe he should have got like NBA coaching job somewhere during that time period, in my eyes. Now, granted, he went to coach the USC women's team, and that didn't work out at the end. But I feel like, you know, maybe an assistant coaching job in the NBA, and then maybe like trying to get an NBA head coach job. Another one, maybe controversial, but Bill Lambert had a very good run in Detroit back in the day. Swing Cash, Sheriff Ford, and that crew. And I know he was trying hard to get to the NBA, but, you know, I think his past kind of really stopped that. So my thing for her, get in, get out. Show that you can win, but don't try and linger on forever. Because who's to say, you know, you're going to have Liz Cambridge forever? Who's to say you're going to have Asia Wilson forever? You know? So, if you can win at least a couple chips there, or at least one, get in and get out. And maybe, you know, within those couple years, you know, some jobs will be open for a rebuild and whatnot.
Well, my thing is, I'm thinking that's I think that's part of the plan. Just because, you know, clearly a dream of hers, or being an assistant coach under Pop, clearly want to be an NBA, you know, head coach. So I'm thinking right now that's part of the plan. Is to be in the NBA. So for me, I think that she's gonna make that transition. But she's, in a sense, said, hey, well, you know what, I wanted to be a head coach this year, you know, or recently, it didn't go the way that I wanted, so I'll take the approach of just any opportunity. Have a job opportunity where, you know, that's what we would think. That's what a lot of people have been saying. for a while. But what happens is a lot of college job opportunities have opened up clearly, and I don't think it was so much too he wasn't too aggressive with those opportunities. So to whereas Miss Becky, she took a totally different approach to a summer player or a high school athlete to show them, hey, I'm worthy of being on your team or worthy of the opportunity. So I think her coaching at the WNBA, they're going to see what she can do and what she's offering, what she's bringing to the table. Hopefully they acknowledge it and a time opportunity come up. But I can tell you right now, we'll continue to talk about it is NBA jobs will be open every year.
Yeah.
Some of these teams, they rebuild and then 2 years later they change their mind as far as rebuilding. So we're gonna see an opportunity come alive soon. And I think that should be there for that opportunity. And I think it'll be quicker than we think.
Yeah, and we'll end it on that note. And speaking of, NBA teams with openings and stuff like that, the Houston Rockets, D-Lock, has been in the news cycle here the past couple days. And when we did our season preview series, remember what I told you that one day they gonna do, in which is come into reality. They were gonna sit John Wall until they either buy him out or trade him. That's looking more and more the case each passing week. That he's not gonna get be waived and go elsewhere. He's not gonna lose out his money. They're not gonna play him anytime soon, unless they are decimated by COVID or injuries. So that's one thing. And then I also said in that preview series, for the Rockets, the way this team is constructed in rebuild mode, Christian Wood would be a prime candidate for mid-season trade. His contract's not bad. It's very movable. You can get some assets for him and stuff like that. So I think teams are going to call him about him. Well, Mr. Locke, it seems like Mr. Wood is trying to accelerate his leave. Now, this is coming for Shams from The Athletic. This is tweeted out from yesterday. After Rockets assistant coach John Lucas, that's senior, not junior, called out multiple players, including Kevin Porter Jr. and Christian Wood at halftime versus the Nuggets, Porter had a heated exchange with Lucas, threw an object, and promptly left the arena. Kind of like AB did today. And Christian Wood refused to sub into the second half. Now, just reading that right there, D-Lock, what are your thoughts of an old school player and a guy to be in the league for decades, and John Lucas saying to his new age guys, what are your thoughts on that? How Kevin Porter and Wood handled that afterwards?
My thing is, unlike the Tampa Bay Bucks, Houston is in shambles right now. We talked about the John Wall situation. Wanted John Wall to play, then didn't want John Wall to play. Wanted to pay him, didn't want to pay him. He wanted to play, then he didn't want to play. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in Houston. Hell, we even seen this last year with James Harden.
Mm-hmm.
It's like at this point, they need to start over with this. They need to. I mean, well, I can't say they need to start over because in a sense they're there now. But this team, there's a lot of stuff going on with this team, and to be honest with you, like I think we missed the past couple of weeks, but I'm pretty sure you've been watching NBA games. But this team was on a winning streak for a while.
Yeah.
Like they were, moving in the right direction, looking like chemistry was going well. So the fact that some of this stuff happens, like it kind of throws it, like kind of throws you sideways a little bit. So for me, like Kevin Porter, I think is going to be the future of this team with the Jalen Green and Christian Wood. They need to get this together. But this is something very similar to the James Harden situation. So there's a common denominator with this. So for me, dude, like we just got done talking about the opportunities that Miss Becky should get, and the fact that you have stuff like this going on with Stephen Silas, like how long does he last? How long does he is there? And I know, like I said, he just got there. We're looking at we were seeing how I remember James Harden was coming. Dude, James Harden was coming to the games looking like he ain't worked out in like a month. So like he was making the situation like worse last year, but now you have a totally different situation with Kevin Porter and Christian Wood, leaving during the halftime and all of this stuff. Like this stuff is getting out of hand. Like it just, and I understand that players have their right to feel their type of way, different things, and have different discussions and stuff like that. But dude, when is this like? This is the reason why some teams continue to be. Magic going to overtime with the Celtics. That's a shocker. This is the reason why some teams are continuously in the lottery because of little stuff, like this. I believe, like I said, I also John Lucas, being a person that was dealing with Kevin Porter in this situation, like to me, there's nothing wrong with having disagreements. As far as teams, this stuff is going to happen. But you have to find a way through these things and through these hard times because to be successful, you're going to have to go through different valleys. But I'm hoping they get this right, man. Because right now, like, you have the win streak, you're looking successful, and then next thing you know, to just cut all that stuff and make it look worse, or to basically make 2 steps forward and 4 steps back, somebody got to leave at halftime or have some type of confrontation that just look like the franchise is all over the damn place.
There were reports early in the season that Stephen Silas' job may be on the line, which I thought was just kind of hustling backwards because you're in rebuild mode. What are you trying to win games for? And then on top of that, this draft class coming up in college basketball, to me, talent-wise and potential-wise, and how they fit in today's NBA, it could potentially be one of the best we may have ever seen in the past decade. A lot of potential guys, franchise guys, in the same breath, it's just like, why shoot yourself in the foot when you can potentially get a franchise player to go along with Jalen Green, and then you go about business that way? I didn't get that report. saying I didn't really get that. I'll say this, D-Lock, if you want your team to compete and stuff like that and win games, you maybe should have had John Wall play with y'all from day one. If you want to do that, this ain't the first time. Excuse me. This ain't the first time that Kevin Porter has gotten into altercations with the coach before. It's happened up in Cleveland. There's been stories about that. You're talking about a very talented Kevin Porter, a second-round pick, but could have been first round. I think some attitude issues weren't there. We talked about Christian Wood before. Undrafted guy, really found his footing in Detroit. Has been a very good player in the league. I think me and you both can agree with that. I don't know where this is going to lead to. John Lucas is very well respected in league circles. He has helped a lot of players, especially with his substance abuse program and stuff like that. Really not. They're in the bottom of the East right now. They lost on the first of the year against the Nuggets. I'm pulling up the stats right now. 29 points for Jalen Green. Great game from him. But, Kevin Porter, left at halftime. Christian Wood only played 8 minutes, and he didn't even start in that game. So, I know you want to win. But it's not our best playing card right now. We need to sell high on Eric Gordon, Christian Wood, and Kevin Porter. Sell high. Do what the Thunder did. Get draft picks. And rebuild our roster that way. Build around Jalen Green and the other young guy we can get on that roster. This is what we should do. That's what I would tell Tillman Fertitta. But he seemed like he don't want to go that way. So, I don't know what the Rockets can do. Maybe Kevin Porter, look, they talk it out, stuff like that. Maybe John Lucas will send him down, say, hey, sorry, stuff like that. Maybe come a mutual agreement, but I don't know. And today's player, if they ain't feeling the situation, if things ain't going their way, they might ask for a trade.
Well, right now it just seems like we haven't really said too much. It's always been something. Now, a team I thought Houston would have something to do with trying to get Houston got going into the locker room and all that type of shit, boy. At halftime, I would take all that over getting blew out by 40 and 30 and 50 every night that the Magic doing.
I mean, that's a good question. What situation you rather be in, Houston or Orlando? Me personally, I'd rather take the Houston situation.
And it depends on where you are. Like, it depends on what position we're talking about. Like, as a coach, I would love the Houston position just because the stability in Orlando just isn't there, and it hasn't been. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not going to change, at least not right now. And I know that kind of got sidetracked to what we're talking about, but it's just like, these teams are in the same boat, bro. Like, they're having, these different situations. And, again, at the end of the year, we'll be talking about later on down the year, well, these teams are in the lottery. Like, we're trying to see what pick they're going to get. We're going to talk about, well, this player's going to fit in Houston, or this player's going to fit in Orlando. Like, do teams not get tired of hearing that?
Yeah, I mean, they should. If I'm an owner of a team, after a while, throwing an example, like a team like Sacramento, like, hell, after a while, you get tired of hearing that. Like, damn, I like to be playing in May and talk about us winning championship. Not, you know. Oh, well, I think I lost D-Lock there. Hang on 1 second. You back?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But I was going to say, you know, you talking about teams not tired being tired being in the lottery and stuff like that. But, you know, for me, for Houston, if I look at the lens of a front office type, I know I can get some value off of the two guys I just named, Wood and Porter. I can get some value there. Will I go for Ben Simmons? I don't know. Tough to say. In my eyes. But, you know, can I sell high from them elsewhere? Good possibility. My cap space ain't too bad if I find a sucker for John Wall. And that's the main thing. You gotta find somebody for John Wall. So it's tough. You know, for the Magic, you know, at least for the past few years, they made the playoffs. You can't say that for them. But for me, you know, they just made some bad financial decisions in my book. And we discussed it in the past. Signed Jonathan Isaac for a long-term deal after the ACL injury. You know, signing Wendell Carter, long-term deal. Even though he's been paid decent. You know, the Markelle Fultz signing still baffles me. I was like, and then you got these other guards as well. You drafted Jalen Suggs. So it's just like, I just rather take the Houston situation. This looks more, you can break away from a lot of longer term deals to get where you got to go. If D-Lock, let me ask you this. If Orlando happens to land in the top 3, who would they target? Because think about this, D-Lock. Depending if these guys come out. You got Paulo from Duke, about 6'9", 6'10" forward. Plays very similar, probably better than Jonathan Isaac. Chet Holmgren, you know, similar to Wnba, but he can shoot. I forgot the kid's name. I took my tongue. But I just throw this kid in here. J.D. Davidson for Alabama. Very explosive guard. Probably, you know, 3 inches taller than Cole Anthony. It's tough.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you land that top 4, top 3 spot again, who's getting shown the door?
That's true. I mean, remember, Wnba didn't get an extension.
Yep.
So I don't know how long that lasts and what is next with that. So for me, I like Paulo, but it's just like you said, you have all these pieces that you're building around, and it's a similar thing with the Rockets. You know, if the Rockets were to land somewhere near this area, or to get a top 5, top 3 pick, you know, where do they draft? I mean, you got Kevin Porter, you got Jalen Green, so I'm pretty sure you're set at guards. Eric Gordon's probably going to leave. Christian Wood, it seems like a great signing. So for me, another person too I like that they have, I just think he needs more minutes, is Kenyon Martin Jr. Like, I like him. I feel like he's a very good piece, but the opportunities is what's delaying what we see from him. So, but again, to be in that situation, You know, I think we talked about it before with OKC. How many picks OKC got? Like 13, like top two picks or something like that.
Yeah, they got plenty of draft picks through I think the 2028 draft. Between
Yeah.
2026 to 2028, they got a whole bunch of first round and second round picks.
Right. So, and if you think about it, he said 2028, right?
Yeah.
Bro, it's 2022 now.
Mm-hmm.
They got picks all the way through damn 6 years. So it's kind of like they're trying to hit on. It's kind of like they're playing a lotto. Like they're trying to have all these picks, and hopefully they hit on a dynasty player, Michael Jordan, LeBron, or a great player. So again, like, is that an approach that Houston or Orlando needs to take? Like, is that, we know that Bronny's going to come out at one point. I doubt that he gets to LA. And I think that when he does come out, that LeBron goes and plays wherever he is. That's just what I believe. Maybe a team is trying to set that up as an opportunity. OKC is possibly trying to set that up, but like it seems like that is the way to go. Like you have all these pieces in a Jonathan Isaac, a Mo Bamba there. Houston has a Christian Wood. They have a Jalen Green, but they're not. I guess just a complete franchise changer. So, is that what these teams are trying to do? Because hell, the last franchise change that we've seen that's in the NBA right now is Zion Williamson, who they believe is a franchise changer. And how has that panned out so far for the Pelicans?
Not good at all.
So exactly. So we know that you're playing with luck. You want these opportunities, but at the end of the day, these franchises need to be able to take care of the players that they get in the opportunities. And for me, like I said, Houston, Orlando, these other teams that continuously being in the top of the draft, like, it doesn't matter who the player is, you have to be able to take care of these players. You have to be able to help them be the player that they can possibly be moving forward. So I definitely think that we're going to see these same few teams at the bottom for a while, or obviously they just get a huge free agency signing like Chicago did, and clearly they look like a different team in a massive trade mid-season with the Orlando Magic to get Vooch. That team looks totally different. Another one, we looked at the whole Russ to LA, and we thought that was a big-ass piece, and it was going to be a big difference for the Lakers. But I also think it made a huge difference for the Wizards as well. Like, if you ask me who really won that trade, can we really say the Lakers won that trade?
It's hard to say.
Exactly. So we see the big name in Russ. We seen that being moved. We heard, how Kyle Kuzma was in LA. Like, like he looks like a totally different player right now. So again, maybe that's an opportunity that these teams look at. But when you have these different situations like Houston going through with people leaving at halftime and assistant coaches getting into it, it doesn't look good, man. Like moving forward at all.
Speaking about your Orlando Magic, they were in overtime with the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics without Jason Tatum tonight. But that don't matter because Jaylen Brown has put up a 50-piece tonight to go along with 11 rebounds. 19 for 29 for shooting, 5 for 10 for three-point land. That's a hell of a stat line there for Jaylen Brown tonight for the Boston Celtics. In which,
yeah, he's having one of those I remember where I was type of games. Usually when Jason Tatum is not there, it's like the green light for Jaylen Brown to be like the number one scorer for that team, even though they have a Marcus Smart, Dennis Schroeder on that team, a couple other guys. It just seemed like it's his show. And I honestly think we actually see the Jaylen Brown for who he really is when Jason Tatum is not playing. Like, that's clear. But what did I say last? When we talked about it last year about Boston, what do I always say? it's like you don't know who the star is on that team.
Yep.
You know who the star is, but it's like one week is Jason Tatum, next week is Jaylen Brown, the next week is Marcus Smart, the next week is Al Horford. Like, they have to have a sense of consistency with their guys. So, but Jaylen Brown, we know what Jaylen Brown can be. It's just now, and I see they got that win. It is now, you have to see this on the consistent.
And that's my thing with Boston. Before we wrap up, it's just like they got to find a balance with those two guys. With those two guys, if they play efficient and stuff like that, like Jaylen Brown did tonight, they can be a very deadly team. We've seen flashes of that. But it seems like you mentioned, it's not, we don't see an consistent basis. And I don't know why, to be honest with you. Sometimes I see the stat line for Jason Tatum. Yeah, he'll have like 33 points, but his shooting that night is abysmal. His stat line is abysmal. So if you get more shooting nights like this, I'm not saying dropping 50 every night, but if you get good field goal percentages like this between those two, it can go a long way for the Boston Celtics in the long run. And then, you get consistent play for Schroeder, Smart, get good games every once in a while from Al Horford, and Grant Williams did what he does, except for fouling out. I think they'll go a long way for them. Just trying to find some consistency for that Boston team. And then, to look for your magic, FanDuel All-Star Terrence Ross has 33 points off the bench.
He shows up when you don't pick him. God damn, Joe ain't had him tonight.
I didn't either. It was like, damn, dog. At least I say this. At least he gets 5 rebounds to go along with his 33 points. Sometimes he just scores and then, you don't do nothing else. But before we wrap up, looking at the Orlando side of things, 15-16 from Wendell Carter. Great stat line. Obama just played 18 points for 6 points. You got to find something balanced there as well, in my eyes. I know you missed.
I'm at this point. I feel like the extension of for Wendell Carter was a great move. Like, he's playing excellent. But to be honest, man, they have to decide what they're gonna do with these two guys. I don't think that these two can be on the same team together. They're too similar.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I feel like watching the games and paying attention to them that Wendell Carter he's a much better offensive player than Obama. Obama's more of a defender. He's the one that gets the blocks, gets the steals, more so, grabs the rebounds more. That's where he's more effective. But these two on the court together is it's not going to work. And again, we talked about the fact that you paid Jonathan Isaac all that money. He's not going to see the court to possibly next NBA season. So to me, they have to make a decision with these two guys. Clearly, I feel like they have. They just haven't. I think we talked about it before. I think they're trying to, get the trade value up for Obama because, they're playing him, but they haven't extended him. They've already extended Wendell Carter. Already paid him his money. Right now, Obama is set to be a free agent next year. So for me, it's more likely that they're just trying to see what they can get for him because he's at this point, because both of them they're not gonna match together. It's just what it is, and that's okay. But again, we talked about this, or I'm pretty sure I brought it up to you multiple times. the fact that we drafted Wnba and we did not need a center at that time. And now, a decision that you made 3 or 4 years ago, when you had SGA sitting in the fold, you could have drafted him when you needed a guard. And you drafted a center. So, now you came back and I think Cole Anthony is a hell of a player. I like him. I like Jalen Suggs. So I think, we definitely got some great players there. But are they in the same category as SGA right now? I probably would say no.
No. Yeah. And no, they're not. And I'll leave it on this, though. It's a wait and see to see what this Orlando team is like fully healthy. I think that should be a fair assessment. Will they ever get to that point? I don't know. And that's the thing, rebuilding. Do you have the patience to do it? And I think that's one of the hiccups, for this franchise, since post Dwight Howard. Do they have the patience to wait to find that next guy in the group of guys they have right now? But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning back with us in this week. I wanted to introduce.
It's good to be back.
Oh yes, sir. Real quick, I want to shout out to our fan of the month, Chris from Massachusetts. Chris is a Bills fan. Bills Mafia got a big win today. Even though Josh Allen threw some picks, but they won today, so they keep up their playoff hopes and stuff like that for a home game. So shout out to Chris from Massachusetts. Also, check out IESportsRadio.com. For the last 7 years and a half, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we have continued to be access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment on our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for contributing to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all our sports. This has been our time tonight. We'll be back next week. Hopefully we get more NBA news. Hopefully college basketball kind of get back into the swing of things with all the cancellation and stuff like that. But until then, we are out and we'll be back with y'all next Sunday.
All right, peace.